everybody, this is Michelle Fox and welcome back to The Simple Quilter. Again, I'm excited to be here today. I'm excited to show you a quilt that I have totally done. Well, it doesn't have the label on it, and I guess it's not really technically done until it has the label, but it has the binding, it's been quilted, and it's just ready for the label. But I wanted to show you this because I'll be giving it away soon, and I won't have another opportunity to show you this quilt. So I will step aside and I'm going to show you this quilt, and I'm going to try to zoom in so you can see the beautiful quilting that was done on it. And again, I don't do the machine quilting, I pay someone to do the long arm quilting. And actually this time I also paid someone to do the binding. I really needed to get some projects done, so I did splurge a little bit and paid to have the binding done too. So again, I'll step aside so you can see this beautiful quilt, and again, it's one of my favorites. Okay, so today's topic is quilt-related literature. And the reason I've selected this topic is because a subscriber recommended or suggested I do one on quilt-related literature. And so I thought, well, what a great idea that would be. So I'm going to be talking about several things. We'll be talking about some of my favorite novels, some of my favorite mystery series, my favorite magazines and blogs, and just a lot of different things. But I'm going to start out with my favorite quilt magazines. There are 3 quilt magazines that really are my favorites. And my most favorite is the Better Homes and Gardens Quilt Sampler. And the reason I like this magazine is because it features 10 top quilt shops, and I love to read about the shops and the owners and the surrounding area there. I like to see what quilts they select and which ones they showcase for their article. But I really like this magazine. I think it just comes out maybe 2 times a year. I think it seems like I get this twice a year, but I can only find it in like a store like Walmart or Dillon's, somewhere where there's like a grocery store. Now they may be available more frequently than that, but I'm really not for sure, but I think I find it twice a year, and I absolutely love this magazine. So if you like quilt shops, this is a great way to explore some when you can't drive miles and miles to find them. Okay, Fawns and Porter's Love of Quilting used to be my #1 magazine, quilt magazine, but it's kind of taken a back burner to another one that I'll show you in just a minute. But the reason I like this so much, and because it used to be my favorite, is because I was pretty active with Quilts of Valor there for quite a while, and it always has a Quilt of Valor pattern in it, so I really like that. And the quilts that they have in this magazine typically appeal to me, so I really like those features about this magazine. Now, my current favorite one that comes after the Quilt Sampler is the American and Patchwork Quilting magazine. Again, it's put out by Better Homes and Gardens, and I really like this one. Again, the quilts in here appeal to me. I like the tip section. I like to read a lot, so I really haven't read any that I just really truly dislike, but if I had to pick a favorite, currently would be this one and Better Homes and Gardens. Now, I do want to point out one more thing on this magazine. It does have a nice beginner section, and I've even cut these out and put them in a 3-ring binder with page protectors. I think it's good for beginners. It has a section on back to basics, and I like that. But anyway, that's, again, this magazine. Okay, the next thing I'd like to talk to you about is this little newspaper. It's called the Country Register. And I'm telling you, I just like to read, and I like to read most anything. Well, especially if it's quilt related. But this is just a little newspaper, I guess you would call it. And it's available in several states in the U.S., and I typically find them in quilt shops. I used to only think they were in Kansas, but they're not. They're in, I think I found some in Wyoming, and there's a list of all the states where you can locate this little thing. But if you ever see this laying on the counter in one of your quilt shops, it's a free little newspaper. Pick it up, read it, and see if you like it. It has some of the sweetest articles in it, some of the most interesting little articles in it. It's a way for local shops to advertise more inexpensively. I believe that's why it was put together. But I just love the little articles, and it features quilting, antiques, primitives, needle arts, crafts, bed and breakfast, and more. And I just love to read the articles especially. And it does tell you where some of the other local quilt shops are in your area, and antique shops, and I like all those things. So if I find one of these, I always pick it up. And even if I'm not going to go to any of the shops, again, I love to read the little articles. They're so interesting, and they're typically put out by quilters or crafters or individuals who do needle arts. So again, if you see it, pick it up. If you've read it, let me know what you think about it, because I love the articles in here. They're just so sweet and endearing. So that is that. Okay, the next thing I want to mention is my favorite quilt blog. And I've looked at lots of different blogs, and I don't want to discredit anybody, because I haven't looked at all the blogs out there, but I have to say that Sherry McConnell's blog is my favorite. And these are the reasons that I like the blog. Number one, she posts consistently. Every Saturday there's a blog. And because I like to read, she has a section where she recommends different titles to read. She has articles that she provides about organization and self-care. She has a little section on recipes. She keeps her blog updated as to her new patterns and fabric lines and what she and her daughter Chelsea Stratton are doing. And I really, really like her blog. So this is my favorite blog. Again, I like her patterns. I like her quilting. She's quiet. I like that about her when you watch her videos. But anyway, my favorite blog again is A Quilting Life by Sherry McConnell. Okay, the next thing I want to talk a little bit about are some of my favorite quilt related novels. Now, probably my most favorite series is the Elm Creek Quilt series, written by Jennifer Ciavarini. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly, but that's how I pronounce it. I could be mispronouncing it. But I began reading these years and years ago. There's 21 books in this series. I thought I had read them all, but I think I may not have read the last 3. Now, I just love this. Now, this isn't a mystery series. This is really just a story about the lives of quilters and their experiences, and you know, just a life story. And I just really, really like this story. It starts with a lady who's just inherited a home from her family, and it's quite an estate, and it just talks about kind of the journey that she has owning this property and the people she meets, and I love this series. Now, all of these books are available on Amazon, and I get my books through Amazon typically, and I just use the Kindle app to view these. And I used to have these all in paperback, or hard copies, but I got rid of them. I decided to pass them on after I had read them, and a lot of those I have donated or given to other people. So that's why I'm having to show you on my iPad. But now my next favorite author who writes quilt related novels is Marie Bostwick. And Marie Bostwick and Jennifer Ciavarini are both best-selling authors, or New York best-selling authors. And I'm not sure these books have been labeled that, but they are very good authors. And I feel like their books are pretty well written, but I just love the way they develop their stories, and I like hearing the stories of other quilters, even though it is fiction. I really do enjoy reading this. Now, Marie Bostwick has written a few different series, and I really like her Cobbled Court quilt series. There are 7 books in that series, and I also like her series here called let me think, Too Much Texas Novels, and I think there's just 2 of these, but I really enjoy those. So, and again, she's a New York best-selling author, and I just think I just enjoy reading those, and I feel like the storylines are well developed, and they're just endearing stories. Okay, another one of my favorite authors is Anne Hazelwood, and I think I've read all of the books that she's put out. She has several series. She has one called the East Perry County series, the Coleridge Community series, the Wine Country Quilt series, and her latest series is called the Door County Quilt series. And I just have enjoyed all of her books, some more than others. I really like the first of the Coleridge Community series. And then, it does seem like when I've read, like when they have 21 books in this series, I do get a little fatigued when I get to the very end, because sometimes I feel like they become predictable, or their stories become kind of far out. I mean, I'm not trying to be critical. That's just my personal opinion. But I've read them all, and again, I enjoy them all. But I really do like her new series, and I have been reading these. I think she has a new one coming out in maybe August or September. But I really do like these. And again, these are not mysteries. These are just kind of life stories of quilters, and again, it is fiction. Okay, now I'm having a hard time deciding which author is my favorite quilt mystery writer. I've read so many, it's hard to remember. And because I have read so many, and I've been reading for a long time, it's kind of hard for me to remember all of them. But this is a series that I just finished the last book in recently. This is put out by Elizabeth Craig. I talked a little bit about this in some of my other videos, because they're books that I've just recently been reading. And this is a series called A Southern Quilting Mystery series. And I like this. This is about a little lady called Beatrice. She retires, and she goes to live in a town closer to where her daughter is. And it just talks about her friends and the quilt shops there and different people in the community. And there's always a mystery in this. And again, once you've read, I think she has 13 or 14 in her series. When I get to the last ones, I still read them, but I don't know. Maybe they become a little predictable. I'm not sure, but anyway, I enjoy this too. She always talks about her little corgi, and that's lots of fun to read about too. Okay, now here is another quilt mystery series that I've been reading, And I've read these, I've been reading these for a long time, but I realized there were 3 I hadn't read, so I have downloaded these. And this is a series called A Taylor Quinn Quilt Shop Mystery. It's written by Tess Rothery. And this is a pretty good one. At first I wasn't sure when it first started out, but I think I'm on the 5th novel. And I'm liking this one. Again, this one is a mystery, and they're just fun reads. They are light reading. I would consider this light reading. I can finish one pretty quickly. But anyway, if you like to read and you just enjoy quilt mysteries, and I think you'll like these. I think you'll like this series. So if you've read any of these books, let me know. Put it down in the comments. If there's some that you've read that I haven't mentioned, put that in the comments. Again, I didn't include all the ones I've read because I've read all that I can really find. So anyway, maybe you found one that I haven't. Okay, so the next group of books I want to talk about, I do have those here with me, so I'm going to switch from my iPad to real life books. These are books that have information about quilt history a little bit. These are some of my favorite books. Now, this first one is just a collection of research papers. And I received these when I became a member of the American Quilt Study Group. Now, I haven't always been a member, and it is a little bit expensive to be a member, but I do love these articles. These are written by academians or, people who are textile experts. So these articles are very well done, and this is, like I said, this is good research, and I like these. So when you become a member, you get one of these a year, and when you're a member, you also have access to their all of their previous ones, and I just like it. I've been interested in feed sacks, and they had several articles that I was able to find and read on feed sacks, and I love it. But again, I like to read lots of different things, and these are research articles. I'm not sure everybody's going to enjoy those, but if you do like a little bit more of the true history and, actual true research, then this is something you might be interested in. Now, a few years ago, I stumbled across feed sacks, and I fell in love with feed sacks. I just read everything that I could on feed sacks, and it was amazing, all the things I was able to learn. And I have a couple books I want to share with you in case you're interested in feed sacks. One of them is called Feed Sacks. It's by Lindsay Cole McCrae. Now, Lindsay Cole McCrae is not a historian. She tells you that. She's not a textile expert. She tells you that in this book. But this is information that provides, she says, a colorful history of a frugal fabric. I love that title. But it just has lots of pictures in here, lots of illustrations. I loved reading this book. And as you can see, I did read it. I've made lots of notations. I've given a quilt presentation on feed sacks. I love doing it. I love feed sacks. What can I say? Truly an amazing thing to learn about. And then I have another book called Cotton and Thrift, Feed Sacks and the Fabric of American Households. Now, this is written by Marianne Ann J. Montgomery, and I had the pleasure of meeting her in person, and I visited her at the museum that she works at, and I had an incredible experience there, looking in the archives and visiting with her. It was really amazing. I'll never forget that experience. Now, she does have a doctorate, and textiles are her area of expertise. So, anyway, this book is again well researched, and I think you'll enjoy reading that. Again, if you love kind of learning about the history of quilting as a craft. Now, I've shared this one with you before, and I'm going to share it again because, again, it's one of my favorites, but it's called the Encyclopedia of Pieced Quilt Patterns. This is a 3rd edition put out by Barbara Brackman. And the reason I just love this book is because I'm in the stage of quilting where I like to make my own designs and put together my own layouts. And I just love it that there's a picture and, you know, just information about each and every block, almost each and every block that's ever come across. I mean, maybe there's a few she hasn't found, but I think this is a pretty exhaustive list. But I really, really do like this book. Okay, so since I love to read, I would like for you to tell me what you've enjoyed reading. What are some of your favorite books? Please list those down in the comments. If you've enjoyed today's video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, please share with a friend, and as always, leave a comment. I love to get the comments. Every Wednesday, I'm anxiously awaiting the comments. I love to visit with each of you that are providing the comments back and forth with the messages, the text messages. But anyway, until next time, have fun quilting.